All right, welcome to another Lane Creations video, Log Analysis Made Easy. Today we're going to cover system administration tools, Outputs.conf. This is another one of those config files with lots and lots of settings. It's insanely important that it works, but it doesn't, in its most simple form, it doesn't have a lot of settings you need to worry about. The concept of Outputs.conf, that's how you send logs to another system. So if you have a search head and you want to make sure that general best practice is you send the logs to the indexer. If you have a universal forwarder, that's how it sends the logs. Outputs.conf is basically saying, hey, I'm going to send logs. Where am I going? So let's take a Splunk instance here, and we're going to show where we're going. So if I come here, settings, forwarding and receiving, I can configure it manually in Splunk Search Head, and I'm going to configure forwarding. And if I come in here and I say new forwarding host, I just set the destination and away it goes. It'll start forwarding those logs where it needs to go. I would want to put the IP address in, like mine would be 192.168.1.127, and then I would say on port 997, because that is the receiving port by default in Splunk. I could change it, but then I have to change everywhere else. That's it in a nutshell. That all you in the most simple form for a search head or other Splunk enterprise to send stuff off. What does that file look like when I hit save? If I do that, I come over here and I jump into my instance. This is the outputs.conf in the Etsy system local file. And I can see that I've created 3 stanzas. It's declared, oh, look at that. That's the wrong IP address. That's not going to get where it needs to go. It needs to go to 127. Anyway, that aside, um, we want to match that to where we're going. Then we make this TCP out. You make a default group. You have the server. If you have multiple servers, you would just write a comma separated list of all the multiple servers. And then you have a TCP out. Basically, hey, we're going to use TCP and this is our output. What group do I want to use? You can have more than one group if you want to put it there. So you can have different rules and you can apply this with a comma separated list, and then it adds this index and forward equals 0. That means it's disabled, but you have the option to index locally and forward the logs, or just straight on forward the logs. As a general rule, you don't want multiple search heads. Like for example, in my search head instance, I don't want it indexing the logs. I just want it to forward it to my indexer. So it by default is 0, but if I wanted to change that, I could go to 1. Those are the general settings if you go through the GUI. So let's talk about some of these settings that we can actually control with Splunk here. Global settings, we'll come here, TCP. If you have a hex collector, that'll explain how to do the hex collector and your hex token. If you're going to a URI, then for your URI, all those things. So this is for hex. This is for TCP. Remember, we have that little TCP out setting. We have our default group. It can be a comma separated list. So if you have like an search head, if you have an indexer cluster, you could outline them all that way, or you send multiple indexers. Of course, if you have an indexer cluster, you probably should have a management node, and that would be where you point to. But either way, index and forward, if you want to index locally, default's true. You can enable old protocols. Here's your target group, there's your server. You can block warn thresholds, so how big of threshold you want to be able to do, how big of a data do you want to set before it gets blocked. Indexer discovery, this is very nice if you have multiple, like an index management node. So basically, if you have a manager node, you can use this indexer discovery to point to the manager node to find out all the indexers that are available to you. If you need a token, and that's pretty much most of the settings. We can do send cookie data. Here's a heartbeat frequency. This just basically says how often am I going to send a log? Just basically to know that, hey, if I'm not sending a lot of data, you could set up a heartbeat frequency because you want to test, is my data getting through? And so you could track with the heartbeat the health of your system. Block on cloning. There's most of these. Do you want compression, negotiate levels, clone TTLs. Again, if I were if I'm doing I'm doing an administrative, I'm talking to an admin, I want to talk to them about setting up Splunk, pretty much covered it. We've got some queue sizes here, but that's about all that you really need to know for the outputs. Connection timeout, that's useful for how long will I attempt to talk to the indexer before I give up. Um, DNS resolution. Anyway, so then we come down here and we can also do, so there is syslog output. Again, I don't recommend using the syslog this way, but it can be used as a syslog server and you can set that up that route. Anyway, so that's the outputs. Big things you just want to make sure you pay attention to is what servers are you setting it to? You get your target group, etc. Again, I find that almost everything I really truly need is all done in this little default when you set up Splunk from a forwarder, but you're basically making sure you call out your TC output. You make your default group, which is this thing here. Everything to the right of this word TCP out, that becomes your group. You can have multiple groups, so I could have multiple stanzas, and then I would just do a comma list. I can do indexing and forwarding or keep that off. And I can have multiple servers. I can actually do things like send it 2 different paths, and that would be, I can do it by using multiple indexers or however I want to go at that. Anyway, so that is the basic gist of the Outputs.conf. Hope it helps you move from being a lame analyst to a Splunk ninja. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to this channel. Additionally, we offer the opportunity to become a member of this channel, and that membership has the perks of being able to see videos as soon as they're created, which could be up to a month before they're released publicly. Additionally, if you want to supercharge your lame training, we offer training that it will never be open to the public, and that covers administration training. It covers how to hunt and do analytic work. We have apps and other things that we've done that really streamline the process, and we offer those to our membership. Your membership helps this channel grow and allows us to get the technology and the abilities to be able to give better demonstrations and make this technology more available to everyone. So please like, subscribe, and if you're interested, I would appreciate if you joined and became a member of this channel.